Court of our regular producers down with Bob Hope at the Desert Classic, and our associate producer, Mr. Peter LaSalle, is filling in. And let me tell you a little bit about Peter. He's of Dutch origin, and it's really a Horatio Alger story. It's very touching. Peter arrived at Ellis Island, no formal education, no skills, unable to speak a word of the English language, and knew there was only one hope for him, to get into television. Still does not speak one word of the English language. I have a late bulletin. I just took off the teletype. Yes, just came out on, I think, United Press. CBS announced that All in the Family will be returning next year with Billy Carter playing the role of Archie Bunker. I assume you've been following Billy Carter's latest faux pas? You didn't hear what he did down in Plains, Georgia, with the Libyan delegation that he was showing around Plains? How can I delicately put this? Well, let me put it this way. There's a new city ordinance in Plains, Georgia, went in effect today. From now on, Miss Lillian has to carry a billy scooper with her on the streets. Does that explain what I'm telling you? Okay. You know, the Carter administration has had some embarrassing leaks, but this one takes the cake. We live in a great country, though. Where else can a gas station attendant have a foreign policy? Not many places, I warrant. Jimmy Carter has asked his evangelist sister, Ruth Stapleton, to help. The president asked Ruth to lay hands on Billy, right over his mouth. I think the president, though, handled the problem very cleverly. He just appointed Billy as new ambassador to the Bermuda Triangle. You see, the trouble with... I have plenty of time. I can wait for these, you know. If you want to pass these on and enjoy them to the fullest, it's all right. See, the trouble with Billy is that he talks before he thinks. The trouble with Jimmy is he thinks before he talks. You don't have to pass that one on if you don't want to. We got some funny things are going to happen tonight on the show later. For the Mighty Carson Art Players, for example, are going to show you a couple of hitherto unrevealed facts about the life of Superman that most people do not know. What was I talking about? I don't know why I talked about that. Well, I just happened to think of it because it's coming up next. Jerry Brown, our governor out here. What a transition! No transition at all. I just go right into him. You know, he was inaugurated yesterday. He sat down with Mike Curb today. Now, Mike Curb was elected lieutenant governor of California, and Jerry explained the new duties of the lieutenant governor, and they're all biggies. For example, Mike Curb, his job is to keep his ear to the San Andreas Fault, waiting for an earthquake, and then he notifies the state. He's personally in charge of oiling the ball bearings on Linda Ronstadt's roller skates. That's part of And Mike's been put in charge of a long-range program drawing up plans for the San Fernando Valley subway, which, of course, there isn't any such thing. I thought there was a subway. Have you been following the lawsuit in Israel versus McDonald's? If you haven't seen that, it's hysterical. McDonald's got very angry because some sharpie in Israel, I think it was in Tel Aviv, opened a place called McDavid's, in which he sold Big Macs. And they had the McDonald's logo up there, and McDonald's here in this country did not think that was very funny, and they sued the guy. And they won the first round. A judge has just barred McDavid's, the place in Israel, from using the words Big Mac in its menu. Now, McDavid's insists that they're not copying McDonald's whatsoever. Matter of fact, they said McDavid claims that their Big Mac is completely different than the Big Mac here. It contains meat. Therefore, they want this. It was a long trip for a laugh, but we got there, didn't we? Another government report, this one's on smoking also, but something else about it. In an effort to get people to stop smoking marijuana in this country, the government is thinking about putting a sales tax on rolling paper. Yeah, hiss, you're right, yeah. So people are coming up with some alternatives to zigzag. Today on TV, I saw Mr. Whipple saying, please don't smoke the Charmin. Now, here's the crazy news item of the day, but absolutely true. In St. Joseph, Missouri, a man was given 30 days in jail for walking into a drugstore and stealing 2 Alka-Seltzer tablets. That's absolutely true. While the man was in the act of dropping the Alka-Seltzers in a glass of water, 2 policemen sneaked up behind and arrested him. It was a case of plop, plop, fuzz, fuzz. You didn't boo when I was serving on the USS Pennsylvania. When I say serving, I mean it. I was a mess steward. I was serving. Anyway, tonight, I'm looking forward to the show. This is going to be crazy or not. We have Mr. Richard Pryor and Tim Conway together on the same show. Dr. Lendon Smith, a little baby doctor, famous baby doctor. We do that all the time, and we're going to keep doing it. And in just a moment, the Mighty Carson art players will reveal to you some unreleased secrets about Superman. So thanks for coming. We'll be right with you in just a minute.
Tommy, one of the biggest film hits this year is a movie version of Superman. As you know, Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for the Daily Planet, becomes a man of steel in order to fight the forces of evil. We've uncovered a little-known fact about Clark Kent and Superman. And right now, we'd like to show you what we mean. Clark Kent and Lois Lane have worked together as reporters on the Daily Planet for many years, side by side. Yet this working relationship has never blossomed into a serious romance. We wondered if someday Lois and Clark ever did get married, what their wedding night might be like.
This is it, Lois, the bridal suite.
I never dreamed I'd be marrying you, Clark.
Well, Lois, I think now you can throw away your notepad and your pencil. We don't need 2 reporters in this family.
I always dreamed of marrying a real man like Superman, but who can wait forever? So I figured I may as well marry a cowardly simp like you.
You're sweet, Lois.
What are you doing?
Oh, never mind, Lois. Thank goodness for this X-ray vision. That woman in the next bed making love to the man. And the other woman. And the other man. And the Swiss bell ringer. And the St. Bernard. I've never seen 7 people in love before.
Will you quit mumbling, Clark? Yeah. Shouldn't we get ready for bed?
Yes, I think you're right, Lois. I haven't slept in 2 weeks. It's murder when you can see through your eyelids. Lois, do we need anything from room service?
Yeah. Send up the bellhop.
What do you want him to bring?
Just himself.
Yeah. Let's get out of your clothes, Lois. I think when we do, I may have a pleasant surprise for you.
A pleasant surprise? You mean you won't require me to consummate our marriage?
No, I mean even better, Lois.
Can you give me a hint?
Yes, I'll give you a hint. I can go up, up, and away.
Show off.
Now, Lois, you don't understand. You see, during the day, I'm a mild-mannered reporter, but at night, I put on leotards and a cape.
I think I spotted you along Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah. By the way, Lois, I don't think I've asked you this before, but which side of the bed do you sleep on?
The right side.
Why's that?
It's closer to the bathroom in case you make me sick.
Okay, Lois, here I come.
Clark?
No, not Clark. Look.
It's Superman. I never would have guessed.
That's right. You know, Lois, I want this to be so right for the both of us.
Oh, Superman. Then it's true what they say about you.
What do you mean, Lois?
You are faster than a speeding bullet.
In just a moment, Richard Pryor is our guest tonight, along with Tim Conway, Dr. Lendon Smith. Oh, there he is.
Why are we trying to do these things live? You know, we could stop and go like they do on the weekly shows and
No.
you do one thing one day. This is more fun.
Break our
If you-
record.
I've said this before. It is more fun to be backstage during the change.
Yeah.
Did you ever try to tie your tie and button your shirt while you have one leg up? Somebody's trying to put a pair of pants on.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember there was once
That's right.
in Florida, but that was a
Fort
different thing.
Lauderdale. Yes. Yeah.
That involved the local
Yeah.
constabulary,
We
the
didn't know the
police.
police were coming, yes.
But one leg up trying to tie your
Yes.
tie, somebody, it is really crazy.
Good practice for this work.
So I want to thank our set designer again, John Schramm.
Great.
He did a wonderful job last night. And Sharon and Charles in the wardrobe department do a magnificent job putting all those costumes together and getting them to fit and getting them on you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Made a very good-looking Superman.
What?
You look very good there.
I've flown in my times.
Well, I know that, but they don't. No, that looked good.
Did you ever think your day would come when Superman would be a big hit again?
Yeah.
I guess I haven't seen the picture yet, but I understand it's a lot of
Say
fun.
it's sensational.
Don't we have Christopher Reeves coming on the show? Not yet.
That's right.
His uniform is not back from the cleaners, but as soon as they get his cape back, he will...
They claim that the flying sequences are extraordinary.
I'm looking forward to tonight's show for a lot of reasons. We have two extremely funny gentlemen, and here is one here that breaks me up all the time. He has won an Emmy. He's given television viewers many, many hilarious moments over the years, especially with the Carol Burnett show. And he's going to have his own special. It's called, and they had a lot of conferences about what to call this, and they came up with the executives with the Tim Conway show.
Oh.
They were going to call it Hello Tim, but they decided to call it the Tim Conway show. And it's going to, there's a big conference about this. It's going to air, they say.
Well, that's good.
What?
They made the show. It's good that it's going to air.
It's going to be shown, actually, this coming Monday night, January 15th, at 8 p.m. on another network.
Do you think people go to other shows on another network and talk about shows that are going to be on this network?
Probably.
I hope so.
And they always say on
Another network. They mean us then when
They mean us when they say that, and of course you can check your local Chase calendar of events for which network that is. Would you welcome, I'm leaking all over the place here, Mr. Tim Conway.
Boy, what's fun tonight?
What fun! Wow! What? You gotta time it just right.
Tell me how it's going.
Huh?
The funny sketch.
Thank you. Do you like
yeah.
that?
No, but it was a funny sketch. That's it.
Personal opinions notwithstanding.
No. It really was. I didn't know you were doing that actually live.
Yes.
Until I saw you coming running back there in your underwear. That's good.
Yes.
That's good stuff.
Kind of cute in my skivvies, aren't I?
Very nice, yes.
You've heard me talking about those changes. You've gone through a lot of those over the years, and it does get hysterical back there.
I was playing Vegas one time, and I was supposed to come out in a different outfit and had 30 seconds to do it in, and there were 2 girls who were changing me, which was great. And they did the whole thing, and I came out, I didn't have the shirt on. Just the tie and the whole thing, and they forgot the shirt. Hi! Oh, all right. I couldn't get that on.
Nothing you can do about it at all.
No, because you're on and it's show business. That's important.
Yeah,
in our lives.
And it is your life, isn't it?
Show business is my life, yes.
For the better part.
For the most part of it now, anyway, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. It's exciting.
It is.
To get paid for the thing you love to do, as they say.
To go out and entertain an audience, to bear yourself in front of an audience, just to get a couple of laughs and make other people smile when you're so miserable.
And take home a few thou a week, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the important thing.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's the main thing. A lot of people don't think we're in it for the money, but I am.
I've often heard that.
Yeah.
You got in it just for the
money.
money.
A lot of people think I want to get to the top. That's not necessarily so. No. Paycheck's the big thing to me. I don't particularly care about ratings or anything. If the paycheck clears, that's it with me.
And many of them in this business haven't the past
That's
2
true.
years. But neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So how I've not seen you for, well, I guess the last time. You only come here when you got something to plug.
That's
I never
right.
See
Yeah.
you,
So the show will be on Monday at 8 o'clock
on another network.
Yeah. If I could plug now, can I go or no?
No,
I have to stay. I'm
no.
sorry. Oh, got to stick around. Okay.
You never
Yeah.
do the plug at the last, you see.
That's right. Yeah. It's an interesting show. It's
Tell us about it.
56 minutes long.
56?
Which is the important thing. A lot of the shows are short. But this is, we thought, Carol and Joe, who are also man and wife, as you may know, thought
Who's
of
that?
one thing, Carol
Joe?
Burnett and Joe Hamilton.
They're man and wife?
Yeah, didn't you know that?
Of course.
Oh. Was that a put on, you silly guy?
Yeah.
They thought of a thing that, especially I think it kind of applies to my show, that there should be a comedy patrol. That instead of getting a rating, that after you do a show, the comedy patrol comes by, and if your show is bad, they actually come to your house and shoot you. Wouldn't that prevent a lot of bad shows? Really?
That's right.
Because you'd think twice before you actually put a show on.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Vigilante kind of.
Yeah, a guy comes and says, I saw your show.
You have to get out of show business, can no
Right.
longer perform.
Right.
Lots of it. There wouldn't be much left on television.
No, that's true. Well, if you only got shot in the foot, it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, you haven't done a special since
Since my last...
your last special.
Yeah.
I knew there was a time gap.
Yeah, there was.
You wouldn't do one Thursday and one
Well,
Friday.
No,
It makes no
you
sense.
wouldn't want to do one every night.
No.
Because then it really wouldn't want to be a special that way, yeah.
There's nothing special about being on every night.
Not to me,
as we
no,
found
sir.
out. So it's been some time since you've done your last special.
It's been almost a year.
Almost
yeah.
a year.
Yeah, the last one we were doing, the folks came down from the network and said, don't do this anymore. So we stopped doing that.
No, they didn't. That was a funny show. I saw it.
Yeah, that was the one on, Patton. That was also almost an hour long, too, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. Get them an hour long.
That's right.
Yeah.
How is the New Year been treating you? Everything going well?
Yeah, real fine. Yeah, it's been a real good year so far. Yeah.
That's one of our stock questions.
Is it really? Oh, I didn't
When you've
know
been here
that.
a long time, you jump at anything.
I love the,
Like,
yeah.
how are the kids, you know?
Yeah, I loved starting with an earthquake. I thought that was good. Yeah.
Right. Where were you during when it first hit?
I was watching, as most people, the Rose Bowl, and had to, get the kids out of the way to get outside because a situation like that.
Kids cluttered up the door, did they?
They were all under that door jam.
They're selfish. They're selfish little people.
They really are. I've never found that out until a crisis like that. They will try to protect themselves.
Selfish
actually.
little people.
It really is grim. We had when the other one hit, which was about, maybe a year ago. Remember the one that hit early in the morning, the 6:30 number? Of course, after the big one.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, but after the big one, then you got the flashlights and you got everything prepared. And you said, okay, you go down the stairway if it hits here and up there. And then one hit about a year later, and they all remembered it was 6:45 in the morning. So we all ran outside in our underwear, and there we were on the front lawn, 8 of us in our underwear. Now, the people going by in a car don't know there was an earthquake.
That's right.
A lot of that, Weird.
Tour bus going by the Conway home
How
going,
you doing? Fine. We always come out here in our underwear about 6:45.
I keep saying every time there's an earthquake, well, maybe you do this also. Maybe I better lay in some first aid supplies, a little Coleman stove in case the gas goes out, and one of those big beam lights, and I never do.
Well, I think if you have all those provisions, wouldn't the people who don't have them come and beat you up and take them away?
No, because I also have a very big gun. Big gun.
That's good. Yeah, a gun is good.
That keeps the sore losers away from your front door in case of an emergency.
Yeah, I would...
Every man for himself in an earthquake.
I would hope to become a looter in a situation like that.
That's right.
That's probably more profitable.
Raper and
except in
pillager.
Europe. Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah. Those are scary, though. They really, you don't know until you've been through one what they're actually like.
I remember that one that was... It was about strangely enough, Bob Newhart was on the show the night they had that big one. That was about, 6 years ago?
Yeah.
When it rumbled at about 6:40 or 6:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And that night while we were doing the show, there was one of those aftershocks. Mm-hmm. And we heard it from the back of the audience because they felt it, the building. And you heard this, and Newhart and I looked at each other like, they don't like us, we're dying. Because you heard this, and we were going, Bob says, and it came down, and all of a sudden, we still have the tape, and you see the camera.
Right, I remember that. Yeah.
We've replayed it, and you see the camera just for a second go like this.
Yeah, actually, it was the cameraman.
Yeah, yes. He was over already in Pepe's having a couple of margaritas by the time...
in doing a lot of shows, as we do, we do physical stuff, they put you on a wire to do flips and things like that, and then they hang you. I was at Universal one time when they thought it would be funny to leave me there at lunch, just hanging, 12 feet off the ground. So now, whenever I do any of those things, the first thing I get is a pair of wire cutters, because if you are doing something and there's an earthquake, you don't find a stagehand going, we're going to get him down.
That's right.
No, sir.
They're in the 48 Dodge heading for Barstow.
Yeah, he's on the bus on the way home, and you're going, boy.
That was a big one.
Yeah, and you can't unscrew those things until the guy comes to the ring.
Are you good in critical situations like that? Do you keep composed? Women, they say, always look to men, but you find women sometimes are much more calm and can think a little clearer.
In a situation like that, I will normally grab a woman.
Grab a woman?
Yeah. I think it's important.
Throw her on top of you to avoid falling debris,
right.
I suppose.
Yes, right, yeah. No, I kind of panic. Yeah, I don't handle that well at all. I try to act calm, but I cry, everything.
You try to be cool, but unless you've really been in an earthquake, it's just, there's nothing to equate it with.
Yeah.
It's a little disorienting, and everything kind of goes this way, and you don't know what really to do.
Yeah, and the noise.
Does this fly bother you?
No, that's okay. Well, that's cute. How do you keep him on there?
Look at this. I
know
told
he
you it was going to be a big
trained,
show.
is that correct?
Okay, there he goes. Now he'll come back here. Okay,
That's good.
now he's going to...
Can you make him go on your face?
Yeah,
you
bet.
There he goes. That's good.
Hey, come here. He'll be back in a second.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes when things aren't working,
I've
you'll
never
see the
seen
fly
a
come
trained
in.
fly like that again. That's marvelous.
We keep it in case the guests don't really go well, and we go... Not that you are.
No,
I
understand.
and
Hey,
we cue the fly.
Sure.
I have to do a commercial here.
Oh,
You can stay with us a while, even though you've plugged your show?
Yeah. Oh, I can?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Sure. Like most of those big guys say, I have to get back to the shooting schedule.
Yeah, you got nothing to do, huh?
No.
Okay.
No, I can stay all night.
All right, we'll do this. We're going to come
I
right
can stay
back.
all month, actually.
Stay here for a month. Monday night, I want to mention, you know who's going to be hosting the show on Monday night? Harvey Korman.
I'm going to come and sit right in that seat there when he does the monologue.
Oh, you're going to kill
him.
him.
Stare there with a little spinach in my teeth.
Well, that's all you have to do is look at Harvey, and he goes catatonic.
Not well.
And he's going to be here with Bonnie Franklin, Tom Dreesen, baseball's Bob Uecker, and Helen Gurley Brown. And on Tuesday night, we have I always feel awkward saying this, the best of Carson.
Aha, yeah.
And we have people like Beverly Sills, whom is right there, Mr. Tony Randall, who is there, funny comedian by the name of George Miller. And from Cornell, Dr. Carl Sagan is with us on Tuesday. Later in the week, we have Dick Cavett, Tony Newley, Lauren Bacall, George Burns, Marvin Hamlish, and Donald J. Duck. That's right, Donald Duck will be on the show. There is a man named Donald J. Duck.
Oh.
I think he's with the Department of Interiors with the United States government. And his legitimate name is Donald Duck. Now, you want to talk about going through life with problems?
Yeah, what a nice position to be in.
Is he going to a motel?
Yes.
Have your name?
Mr. and
Donald
Mrs.
Duck.
Duck. Yeah. All right, come on, lock him up. I'm around here writing that down.
Speaking of Harvey, you know how much I admire you and Harvey. And they're replaying...
In that order, incidentally?
No, not that. You and Harvey, or
Yeah, me
Harvey
first.
and you.
Yeah. Oh, no, it should be
Either
me.
way.
Yeah.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Crack me up. And they've been rerunning a lot of the composites of Carol's show around the country. And those sketches hold up. But you and Harvey have got something going between you. He doesn't seem to be able to break you up very often, but you look at him, you eyeball him.
Yeah.
And Harvey, the mouth starts to go, the eyes dance, The jaw trembles. The shoulders start to go.
Yeah,
and all
I
you have
love
to do is just
torture
give
him
him
that
one.
way,
You must
too,
torture
yeah.
him.
It kind of started, we were in his dressing room one time, I was doing the show, and he was dressed in a chicken outfit and had on the big feet. He had red stockings on, pantyhose, and he had a chicken body and chicken wings and this huge chicken head. In order to talk to me, he had to lift up the beak. And, listen, and I was dressed as an Avon lady and just sitting there in a dress with pantyhose and stockings and earrings and everything. And he was telling me a serious problem which he was involved in at home. And he's going, I don't know. And he's walking up and down with these chicken feet going, I feel, and boy, my life, and I can see it. And I'm going, well, I feel, basically. And I suddenly realized that a chicken talking to an Avon lady. This isn't right. And I said, Harv, I'm really interested in this, but could we wait until later when you're not a chicken and I'm not an Avon lady? So we went out to do a sketch, which we never did, which is falling down time. And from that time on, I think we kind of, whenever we met each other's eyes, kind of said, these two guys at our age ought to get a job.
Yeah.
Walking around
It's
in
hard
these-
for the audience to understand sometimes why people get uncontrollable, but I guess it's like laughing in church or something. You're not supposed to do it. We're supposed
Right.
to be professional. Ed and I have been guilty on many occasions of doing nothing more than just getting the giggles.
Coming out, yeah, and it's
not,
all over.
And not
Yeah,
being
never-
able to stop.
Yeah.
Have you tried to break him up? And sometimes it doesn't work?
I could just look at him and he would go, but he would try and break me up, and he would say something or do something and go, and I wouldn't do anything, and he'd go, oh, nuts. And then he would laugh at him trying to break up me.
Right.
I sat one time through a whole sketch for 10 minutes with spinach in my teeth going like this, and he never laughed, and then I fell down for about 10 minutes. Yeah, when you try it, it's tough, but there was one sketch where I was supposed to be a pilot coming on to the set, and he opens the door and he said, "Are you ready?" And I had them bring in a toilet, and I was sitting on the toilet when he said, "Are you ready?" And
Off stage.
Yeah, off stage. And so he started laughing, and he said, that was the dress show, and for the air show, I said, "I'm going to do something even funnier." And he said, "Oh, no, you won't get me this time." So I didn't do anything. I just stood there. And when he opened the door, he went, and he was so surprised just to see me standing there, he went even more than the first time.
It's called the reverse breaking
right.
up, waiting for that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Ralph Goka, our makeup man, was telling me, he says, I used to work for Tim Conway back in Cleveland.
Right.
Then I remember New Year here, you started as a television director
Right.
in Cleveland.
Couldn't direct.
Really?
I sold myself as a director, and a gentleman named Ernie Anderson, who's now a big announcer out here. He does most of the C promos. And
They won't know. You only said two letters.
Right.
AB, they'll never know.
I sold him as talent and me as a director, and he had never been talent, and I had never directed.
That's weird.
So he had a kind of a talk show on a movie thing, and I never knew what they call back time, so that when the program ended, you actually had the whole movie in that hour and a half. And the program would always go off, and we would never have the end of the movie. And it wasn't until we showed Citizen Kane that people began to get disturbed, because they wanted to see Rosebud at the end and all that. I guess was very important to them. And that's the first time I realized that they were really interested in the endings of movies. So we would show the endings of the movies on Friday. Just the endings of what we had missed.
Just to carry it over.
Yeah, that lasted about a week, and then they decided that it would be better if I wasn't a director.
Is that when you got into talent there?
Well, the show was so bad that we couldn't get anybody to come on as a guest, so I would be the guest, too. And Ernie would say, here's a bullfighter, here's a trumpet player, here's a whatever, and I'd just leave the cameras on, and I'd come out and be a bullfighter or whatever.
Just great experience.
Yeah, it sure was. Then...
No, I mean that, because
Yeah, it is.
I started locally back in Omaha doing a show in the afternoon.
a lot of applause for locally.
That's right,
Yeah.
for locally, it's very big. And used to do an hour show 3 times a week with nothing. So you start doing everything.
Right.
You'd act silly, it didn't make any difference.
We
just
tried
to kill
to get
the time.
Yeah, tried to get guests on. We'd say, like when Bob Feller was big with the Cleveland Indians, we'd say Bob Feller was going to be the guest today, and we'd never ask Bob. Because we'd hold an audience that way. And then Bob would call and go, "Listen, I wouldn't be on that piece of junk." And we'd go, at the next break, we'd say, "Well, he called and he's on his way. He's tied up in traffic, but he'll be here." And then at the end of the show, he'd say, "Well, here's Bob. Oh, we don't have time? Well, maybe tomorrow." And
Can't get away with that too often. The audience gets...
the endings of the movies and that kind of stuff lasted about 2 weeks. And then I was back down writing promos again.
Yeah. When you take your kids out, and you got a passel of them, as they say.
To the best of my knowledge, it's about 6.
About 6?
Yeah.
Running around.
Yeah, I don't know how old they are. They're not... they must be about 16 to 8, I would imagine.
Around there?
Good space.
That must be kind of a handful when you go on a trip or a vacation or...
Yeah,
don't you take
it
them
is. Well, we
anywhere?
take a whole plane, or it's One time, I had 3 kids playing. Well, actually, I had 2 kids. Timmy and Patrick were playing Little League. This shows you the sense of humor that people have in Little League because they're rough. They really are. I just went to enjoy it for the kids and everything, and they asked me to umpire one day, third base.
That's all over.
That's the
All
worst.
over.
But my first boy got up. Timmy, he got a hit. My second boy got up. Pat, he got a hit, and they were short that day. Now, those games, they go to... The scores usually average around 107 to 83, When you go to see one of those games, you don't get a seat. You just get a condominium. And you just kind of stay out there in the sun because they go on forever. Then nobody ever gets out. And they don't have balls to strike. You just keep pitching till they hit it. So you're there for days, But anyway, 2 of my boys are now on, second and first. So they were short, so they let Jamie bat that day. Now, he's only about 5 at the time. So... bang, he hits the ball and it rolls to the pitcher. Now, instead of the pitcher throwing to first to get him out, he decides to throw it to third to get Timmy out. Now, Timmy started sliding about where the shortstop was standing. So,
Long slide.
slid, got up, slid again, slid. He had the slide down, but it was a little early. You know what I mean? So by the time he got to third, I thought, this is great. My 3 boys are going to be on base. So the guy all he had to do was touch the base. He would have been out. But he saw this kid kept sliding. So I figured, well, I'll tag him when he comes over here. So he tagged him. He was out by 20 yards. And so Timmy, as he was walking, he stood on the base, and I said, safe. Well, you never saw so many people come out of the stands and all. Wait a minute, whoa, yeah, they were going to kill me, What do you mean, safe, And I say, hey, the score's 108 to 5. What do we care, 3 boys are on base.
The parents are the one who take it serious.
Oh, yeah,
And it can lead to fisticuffs and screaming and fighting.
Yeah.
I never got involved in that.
No, that's, so they didn't play next year.
By the way, I didn't ask you who was on your special, and I should have.
That's
with
not
you.
important.
Well, it is
Oh,
important.
it is, too, yeah.
Sure
it
it is.
Carol Burnett, strange as it may seem.
Ah, super.
And Don Knotts. And
Funny man.
Don and I did a picture for Disney called The Apple Dumpling Gang. You probably saw that.
Right.
It's up for a lot of Academy Awards. And we're doing another one down in Atlanta now called The Prize Fighter. Where I
You're
become the world championship boxer.
You?
Don's my manager. It's a serious drama. And Village People. They sing YMCA.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a big hit.
Yeah. And who else? We got instead of having grown-up dances, we had little kid dancers, 8 to 12. We got 16 of those, tapping their fool heads off.
The last on your special, when you dance well. I didn't
Yeah,
realize
didn't I?
that. You
Yeah.
danced extremely well.
You know what that was, don't you?
No.
It was a guy with a mask of me on.
Come on now.
I would swear, really.
What are you talking
But
about?
we never revealed the fact that it was, and everybody thought it was me.
Hold it now.
No, really, they made a rubber mask, and that was the guy dancing his head off. I only did the close shot where I went, "Hi, how you doing?" And they went, "Why?"
Are you
And
putting me on?
No. And everybody thought it was me.
I'm sitting here like a dummy
That's what I said.
saying,
I believed it was me.
well, it shows you can take a boy out of the country, but
Yeah,
I want
I
that, and you're
actually
doing great
believe-
things,
yeah.
and I looked at it, and I said,
Yeah.
Conway doesn't, I've never seen him
actually
dance
believed
like that.
it was me, too. Yeah,
And it was just you in the close-ups?
that's right.
Did anybody know?
I didn't even know. No, actually, they didn't. People who knew me said that they swore that was me.
I did.
Yeah,
I did
because
not
it
know.
had this rubber mask.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Well, then you don't dance good at all. I'm taking that back.
No, I don't dance at all. I have no sense of rhythm. That's why I have 6 kids. But I want to tell you.
But seriously, folks. Hey, show business, folks. We're going to be right back. Stay where you are. Okay, folks, moving along here. Club Hi-Ho. My next guest, I'm a big fan of his also. He is starring in the new Neil Simon film, California Suite, and on the 9th of February, a motion picture called Richard Pryor Live in Concert is going to be opening in theaters all over the country, which ought to be crazy, because he is... Well, what are you looking so...
I was going to say, you mean it's for the theater?
Apparently, yeah.
It's not a television show.
Apparently, they must have filmed
Great.
Richie when he was working in concert.
Yeah.
And he is a funny man. Would you welcome Richard Pryor? Well, here we are again.
Yes, it
How
is.
are you, Rich?
I'm fine, thank you.
Things in your life good?
Yes, everything's wonderful, Johnny.
Good.
Just as great.
Just great, huh?
It's really...
Haven't been doing any sniping for the new year or anything like that? Or, I mean, just keep life interesting, you know?
No, I haven't been doing anything. I was just, you know, you were talking about the earthquake, and it happened...
Were you watching the game then?
Yes, I was. I was in bed watching, and the kids, my kids running there, and they were really scared. And I don't know why I brought that up.
Well, because his kids were scared.
I remember that in the big one, when they had the big earthquake, I lived in a building on Sunset, and it was a 14-story building, and I lived on the 3rd floor, but it was in the basement. and it was early in the morning, and I was in bed, and I was naked, and I was just laying there, and the windows start popping out. And I said, God, this is it. And I grabbed a samurai sword and a fifth of whiskey and went out in the streets. And everybody, after that earthquake, everybody started getting very friendly with black people because they figured we knew God or something.
You don't mess with a cat with a samurai sword and a bottle of whiskey.
No,
You just say, hi, neighbor.
They were going, there was a lot of people going, hi. How are you? No, it just was really weird. The people was like the Village of the Damned or something. People really just, they hadn't...
They are frightening, those things.
Yes.
People back east, they don't know. Then they think it's going to fall
No,
off.
they think it's like in the movies, really funny. It hurts.
I just saw your, I just was glomming your shoes there.
Glomming my shoes?
Yeah.
Is that anything like looking at?
Yes, looking close. Yes, it's a...
Yes, it's my shoes. And,
But they're gold.
Yes, gold, 14 karat.
14 karat gold.
Yes.
Things going real good, huh?
Yeah, they're doing No, I don't know anything to talk about. My mind left me when I walked out here. I walked out, my mind said, excuse me.
Happens to me all the time on this show. Nothing new.
I went to the bathroom on me.
That's okay. Just put it on hold. I mean...
And I'm just sitting here in a great deal of panic. I'm
No,
going,
no. Sometimes that helps. Just
It does.
Last night, in a moment of sheer panic, I started whistling through my nose.
Really?
For Ramona, for no reason at all.
A fly just went by.
The same fly we had out here with...
Train fly.
So,
What have you been doing?
I just, you know, my mother's the only person, when you ask that, I have to laugh. My mother's the only person in the world who calls me and says, what have you been doing lately? I'm on every night.
Yeah.
She'll call me if I don't call every week and says, what have you been doing lately? I said, same thing, Mama, the old television show.
Like, what does your mother feel about what you do? I mean, how does she look at you?
I think parents and children sometimes, they know you so well as a person. They have nothing special particularly. I'm sure they're proud like your parents are and Tim's parents. But they don't treat you like the general public. The general public sees and say, Richie, Pryor, Tim Conway. Well, now, when you go home, you don't get that, do you?
Not at all.
Your kids look at you and say, hi, Dad, or whatever.
My kids...
They'll go see somebody else. I remember when I was writing for Red Skelton years ago, I was doing a local show.
I didn't really
KNXT.
want to know, Johnny. I'm just kidding.
Well, wait, you didn't want to know that much. No. I told you a lot more than you really wanted to know. Well, anyway, now that I'm rolling, I was writing for Skelton, and I had a local show on KNXT, and in comes Red Skelton kids and run over to me. That shows you the thing. There was their dad, one of the biggest stars in the world, but they'd seen me on television. That's all. That's the
Dick
end.
Gregory told me one time he was walking with his kids, and the man came up and asked for his autograph, and his children said, what they want your autograph for? You ain't nobody.
Yeah. That's the whole attitude.
My kids were in the car with me. We were driving, and my kids they said, I asked them had they been making obscene phone calls. You know, because when you're young, you call people up and go, hi, and say something and hang up. You know,
that's
that's
real
fun.
clever,
You know, and my kids confessed that they did, and my daughter said, I called up somebody and we had a radio contest. You know, I said, what was it? She said, well, I asked this person, said, who's the funniest guy in the world? And you win $50,000. And the guy said, Steve Martin. I said, that's right. And I almost ran off the freeway.
Your own daughter.
Yeah, my own daughter. I said,
Well, of course, they don't see you in that light.
I said, well, Steve, you got to get him to get you something for Christmas.
Take you to the park next week, right? And a nice vacation, because you're going to be home. I'm going to do this. We're going to come right back. So, that's a promise. Remember here last time, weren't you talking about your dad?
My dad?
Yeah, you said he was a strong disciplinarian when you were growing up?
Oh, my father would just say things that make you pee on yourself.
That's tough.
Yeah,
tough guy.
He could call my name, Richard.
Was it just fear?
Huh? Yes, it was plain fear.
In other words, your mother...
My mother was cool. My mother was cool because she knew she could tell him. She would look at me and go, I'm going to tell your father. And I'd panic because my father had an approach about things. You know, he'd just say things like, he'd be reading the newspaper. Give me a piece of paper. Right? He'd be reading the newspaper and he wouldn't ever say anything. He'd go,
that was it. Trouble, huh?
And the man next door, the kids next door, though, was really panicked. Their father was mean because the man would come out and the kids, if they did not hear him, come out on the porch and go. If they didn't hear that and get home in 3 minutes, that was it. And that's all he would say. He'd go. And kids, we'd be playing basketball, cat be going, what?
Yes.
Yes, Lord. My grandmother used to give, you know them trees with them switches?
Birch.
You ever have to break them off yourself to get, my grandma used to make me go get them. You know, she'd say, boy, go get me something to beat you. And it would be, you know, it would be the longest walk in the world. Right? I mean, I would be hoping it would snow, and you get the switch, and you'd be coming home, and it'd be killing the wind, right? You'd be, you know, and it'd make you start crying before you get in the house. You'd be, Mama, Mama, please, Mama. And my grandmother, she would just get mad and just whip you with anything, like, you know, old douchebag cards, anything.
Yeah. And those hurt.
Oh, man, big old hot water bottles. That's what they called them, right? Hot water bottles. It hold 8 gallons of water. It was embarrassing. And I'm telling the truth, man. People went, douchebag card? Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe they did that out of love.
Oh, sure, I know. It had to be love.
Now, how are you with your kids? How old are your kids now?
My kids...
When you have to discipline, do you...
I'm not very good. At first, I started out spanking. I tried spanking.
Then you realize that
but
you
I
should
looked
not
in
hit
their
a kid.
face because they can look at you so like, you spanked me. And I would feel awful. So I tried talking to them, you know. And my kids are real life stuff, if you don't mind. I hope you can bleep it out, right? I mean, my kids, one day my daughter Rain just came into me and she was talking about my grandmother had been, took her for a ride and was talking to her. It was a lot of pressure for her. You know, she's 8 years old. Yeah. And she looked at me, she said, Daddy, I just wish they'd get off my back.
That is known as a child's plea. Of course, you can understand that. That's communicating. I mean, you know what's on her mind right away.
Yeah, she said, I think grandmother is a racist now because every time we go down the street and she says, hunky this and hunky that. And my mother's white, right? I said, okay, now what am I supposed to do? Okay? So now what am I supposed to do? I said, well, go tell your grandmother how you feel. Tell her the truth. Walk right in there and tell her. I said, but there's a price for telling the truth to your grandmother. I said, she is going to beat you.
Had to go out and give her the thing again.
But she went in there and I saw her in the yard with a switch later.
This is cutting the wind, yeah. Well, I think that's direct, and the parents can understand that kind of...
So I talked to my kids, though. I said, look, I don't like what you did, and I don't think you respect yourself.
But you still love them,
I love them. Oh, they got my heart, man. They can just do stuff to you, sitting in your lap and just, oh, Daddy. And that's it.
It's all through.
It's finished.
Well, guys are pushovers usually for little girls.
Oh, man, they're just so beautiful, and they're just sharp and smart, and they're full of life, and they make you happy. They say good things to you, you know. Yeah. Tell you they love you and stuff.
You're going to spoil them right.
Oh, can't help it. Can't help it. It's beautiful, huh?
You wouldn't spank them now.
No,
See, usually when you spank, you do it in anger, and they say that's wrong.
Yeah, no, I thought I was doing what my parents did to me, and that messed me up, and I just going to mess them up the same way I'm messed up, and I don't want to do that. That's not the little children.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be right back with some more 8-year-old dialogue. Tom. We're talking with Tim Conway, Richard Pryor. When I mentioned earlier about your concert being in film, Tim asked me, wasn't sure whether it was a live performance or it was concert. In other words, they filmed your concerts you do.
Yes. No, it filmed a couple of nights at Long Beach.
Right.
When I was doing my things for the court. And,
By the way, how are things? And you're through the court thing now?
Just about. I have to do 400 more concerts, and the judge was very liberal.
Very good.
And no, that's all behind me now.
It's all cool.
Hopefully. And no, they filmed the concert. I wanted to, Bill Cosby and I were in California Suite together.
Right.
Right? And the movie, I think, is very funny, and they really got after Bill and I's performance, not for us, but for what they thought. It was a racial slur against black people to have us in the film.
And I heard that, and it's interesting to talk about it.
And that we were in the film, and we're the only black people, and we're the only ones doing slapstick comedy. And the reviewers, these white men, found this offensive. For black people, they got a consciousness all of a sudden, and it's not fair to people like Neil Simon and Herb Ross, Ray Stark, Bill Cosby, or myself, or Gloria Gifford and Sheila Fraser. The people that were in the segment that we were in, because we loved it doing it. And
it was burlesque, it was slapstick.
And that's what it was supposed to be, and not that anybody cares, but I wanted to mention, in case you do care, that I would love to. I would work with them people anytime, because I think they're men with a lot of principles, and we in no way meant to do nothing but be funny, and that's what I thought we were.
Well, you see, if 4 white people would have done that same sketch, nobody would have said anything.
But see, they saw black
burlesque,
people working, and they didn't like it, and we had a job.
In defense of the reviewers, they are they are really nice people. I know, when I go out and have an interview or something, and you're cutting their meat for them, and I think a person of that intelligence has a right to say what he feels and thinks, So you feed them a little bit, and then they write a review on it.
I should have done that. I never thought of that.
Whole life is a review. I think life is a gong show.
That's right.
You do?
Whole life is a big,
and
one
they
big
ring
gong
the big
show.
gong on you
Up
at
in
the
the
end.
sky. God is going to say, this is a whole gong show. That's all it is.
And they lead you off. Well, I don't believe that.
Okay. Well, you're entitled,
Yes. I don't. Where were we? Here we are.
We're here.
Yes, my mind just came back. Hi, Rich. Hello.
So anyway.
Here, but not in my concerts. Usually when I did one concert one time, I walked out on stage and there was nothing but white people in the audience, and it scared me to death.
Really?
I did, because I walked out. I have a line usually like I open and I look at the audience and I say, "White people!" Because there's hardly like 2 white people in the audience, so it's really funny, but you walk out and there's all white people, that ain't funny.
No, when you go, "Hey, white people," they go, "Yeah."
They look at you and go, "Sure, of course." And usually when white people come to see me work, they usually take notes or look like they're doing some kind of sociological research.
Well, what does that word mean, Martha? Is that really, do they talk like that?
Oh, you've got a good mix of an audience, though, don't you?
Yes, I would look. I think that I have a good mix of an audience. Was that your question?
Yeah.
Yes, I think
One I haven't used recently, and I throw it in
I think I have a good...
when black people are here. I only save it for black people.
No, well, I do. I have a mixture of audience. Not many Chinese people.
They're tough, real tough.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to laugh. They really don't laugh much. They go, "Well,
How would you like to go to China? Now
I would
love
to go to China.
I would too.
I would, just love. I just think Chinese food is so great. And they go, "No, I would love to go to China, because Chinese people probably got some weird ideas about black people. Because any place usually where white Americans go, they always say black people have tails and, and things like that. And Chinese people probably be looking at you talking about, No, I just think China, it's 1 billion people. You should be friendly with 1 billion of anything. I mean that.
What we ought to do, we ought to get you.
I went to a
Conway.
Chinese restaurant. Wait a minute, Johnny. And the funniest thing I ever heard in my life, the Chinese waiter that stuttered. The man was stuttering in Chinese. He was like, and his friends was trying to help him. They were getting mad at him, going, "Choke out my boy, get on!" And he was still.
Well, if we go to China, I want to go with you, Conway, Pat McCormick,
Oh my God!
and Harvey Korman. We all go together.
Okay.
And they will probably end their diplomatic relations with the United States the next week. But for a week, it would be
Oh, it'd be fun.
an awful lot of fun. Yeah, because they could be fascinating people. As you say, you got a billion of everything.
I hear the premiere of China spits in a platoon, right? The guy has a spittoon, and they tried to ask the networks to edit out that part when they showed the film, because he's talking to the Americans, and he goes, "One shake." And they said, "Please edit those parts out of the film, because of the image." And I thought it was really folksy.
Yeah. Sounds ethnic,
Yeah.
Like I'm a mess. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Our good friend, Dr. Lendon Smith is with us tonight. If you haven't met him, he has his television show's not as long as yours, special. It's a matter of fact, it's a minute and a half. Syndicated television messages throughout the country called House Calls. He's been with us before, and he'll be with us again. Would you welcome Dr. Lendon Smith? Congratulations on your master's win
the other night, and they had a little review of about a book by Lord Trimmingham called The Go-Betweens. And it said, and I thought, this is the answer to all pediatricians. We should know this and have it on the wall. It said, Lord Trimmingham said, the lady is never wrong. Now, I've found that, my wife has been telling me that for years,
Right.
but if you don't see it in print, why, you usually don't get that message. Now, when a woman brings her child in the office and said, he's sick, he's sick, and you keep looking until you find he's sick, or you make him sick or something, but because the kid is sick. And you can't examine him and say he's not sick, because they'll go to another doctor, and that's bad for business. So you find that he's sick, or you find he's got pinworms, or, there's something that's going on with that child, because the mother knows best. It's really, when the baby has come from her, she's lived with this kid for 24 hours a day, and the father brings the kid and said, my wife says he's sick, looks okay to me. So, and so he's not, but we believe the woman, and it really makes some sense. And we've been, the times that we're burned are the times we don't believe that woman. So for heaven's sake, if a woman comes on and says something, believe her. You just nod your head. It's not being henpecked. It's just, it's God's truth. They've got some message that God gave to them that when they say something. My wife says that the bad behavior of our children is from the bad genes from the father's side of the family, and it's often true. You get women's response.
Did I ask you a question yet?
Yes, you asked me if I've been reading things.
Yes. Okay.
I interrupted you.
No,
were
you
saying
didn't interrupt me at
something.
all. I just, hello, doctor, and you were on Western Airlines with Lord Trimmingham or
Yes.
somebody.
So you did get it. You do listen. That's
Lord
important.
Trimmingham. Oh,
You do
yes,
listen.
of
Yeah,
course.
that's
I wasn't aware that he had said
Yeah.
that.
You
The
should
woman
also
is
know
always right.
that he said that.
Yes,
If you'd flown
among
Western,
other
you
things,
would have
I'm
known
sure.
that Portland, Oregon was just about wiped out. We just we were on the map. Hooray for Portland. We've got ice up there that you wouldn't believe. And my
I'd believe it if you tell me.
my wife again, who believes in sometimes she thinks I'm okay. She said, "You know what's happening tonight?" Because we were in 39 degrees, huddled in around those
below zero.
Around this kind of this package that doesn't burn well.
Right.
And she said, "You know what we're doing? We're talking." Because we're usually watching TV or complaining or talking on the phone. We were talking to one another.
Right, that's good.
And that's, sort of bad weather forces people to get close together. So I think that is good.
What's new in medicine?
Well, We've got a flu going around that you wouldn't.
Flu.
miss.
Let's get on.
Yes.
Flu's
Get
good
on the
subject.
Flu.
Flu.
Yes, the flu is very bad.
Why
And
can't they cure the flu, Doctor?
Oh, we can.
Oh.
Yes. You
I
just
didn't know
keep
that.
ahead of it. Freeze it out.
Now, we have what they call a Russian-type flu now, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Now, what's
There
the
was a
Russian?
Burbank flu and there's a
There was.
Portland flu. They're all rated the same. Basically, it's a high fever and a headache, and your eyeballs hurt, and you don't want to move.
The old hurting
And so
eyeball
you don't-
syndrome.
yes.
Yes.
And then the fever comes down, and then there's this kind of cough that goes on for 7 days. So it's a 10-day illness. It's a very standard type of
And there's
illness.
nothing you can do to shorten that
Oh,
time
yes,
at all.
there's a
There
lot of
is,
things.
of course, a lot of things you can do.
We
Who's
found
going to tell you some of them?
the best cough syrup was that gin, lemon juice, and honey.
Gin, lemon juice, and honey.
You know, we ran out of that one night, and the kids came in and were standing and barking by the bed one night, and I had to give them. I didn't have the right ingredients. So it was bourbon and some antihistaminic and some molasses. It was so bad, they never complained again. So if you make the cough syrup taste too good, they're in there every 20 minutes, coughing and barking and stuff. So you have to kind of watch that. But it does work if you know it's coming.
You have a question for the doctor, Richie, about do your children have any ills, Rich? Or that since the doctor's here, you can
My
save a house
experience
call.
has been that kids that are blue-eyed are more likely to get beaten by their grandmothers because they're more likely to be have bad behavior. But we'll give him some cough syrup.
Guess his kids are all well. Tim, do you have anything wrong with your kids at home?
Oh, I'm sorry. Just doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing some research on.
I just wondered if you had an opinion.
I'm doing some research on people that end up as they have. That people like this are more likely to have been very ticklish as little children. Were you ticklish? Were you ticklish?
No.
Only developed lately.
It means that
Why? Do you mean those of us who are a little,
ticklish,
little
yes,
crazy were
are
ticklish?
more likely to be sensitive. It's just a little rule, and you notice the stethoscope, and we can't feel the.
Wait a
stomach
minute,
and-
Richie's going to do the famous trick with a handkerchief. Oh, excuse me, I thought you were going to do that famous magic trick that you do at parties, but I guess not.
I have
Just blew his nose, that's it.
my work with children who have give teachers trouble in school are that they're very ticklish, sensitive, goosey kind of kids, and I've invented them. But I can't pat, and it's a long pole with a lot of feathers hanging. The teacher.
That sounds like fun.
First day of school has the kids all has the kids all lie down supine on the floor, naked preferably, and she lowers this pole with the feathers on it, and see which kids break first, and those are the ones that are going to have trouble. No, they seem to have more trouble, but we found.
Hypersensitive.
Xin chào các bạn đang xem kênh xe cũ giá tốt. Và hôm nay bên em lại về một chiếc Kia Morning số sàn sản xuất 2007, nhập khẩu nguyên chiếc Hàn Quốc. Chiếc xe có màu xanh khá là đẹp. Đây, lốp la răng này còn được. Chúng ta đi vào quanh để xem tổng thể chiếc xe. Đây các bạn nhìn thấy không? Xe rất là nhỏ gọn. Biển Hà Nội. Tư nhân chính chủ. Đây. Xe chủ nhân khá là giữ gìn các bạn. Tuy nhiên là vẫn bị vài lần va quẹt. Tổng thể chiếc xe còn khá ổn so với đời 2007 thì nó là một chiếc xe đẹp. Đi một vòng quanh xe thấy là xe còn ok. Đây là bản đủ nhá. Kia Morning bản đủ. Mua về trên môi trường nắng hoặc là đưa con đi học thì không phải bàn rồi. Đây, đèn của em nó vẫn còn sáng. Tổng thể hai đèn pha rất là sáng. Đó, tổng thể chiếc xe thì được. Đây, bên trong thì hàng ghế sau da ghế còn được. 207 mà như này còn được các bạn. Da ghế tốt. Đây các bạn nhìn thấy không? Mọi chi tiết còn rất là đẹp. Đây, keo chỉ nguyên zin, cứ thợ thuyền đến check thoải mái. Đây, hàng ghế trước da ghế vẫn còn được. Từ hai ghế, cần số, mọi chi tiết. Đây, tắp lô, tắp vì vẫn rất đẹp. Đây, trần rất là không cũ quá, vẫn còn được các bạn ạ. Đây, vì chiếc xe này là xe bản đủ nên là gương chỉnh điện. Đây, các bạn nhìn thấy không? Vô lăng rất là còn được. Vô lăng đời 2007 bây giờ đi bao nhiêu năm rồi mà vô lăng vẫn đẹp như này. Cần số rồi còn rất là đẹp, so với đời thì nó còn đẹp chứ không thể so với năm 2020 được. Đây, tôi sẽ mở lắp cabo cho các bạn xem về động cơ. Đây các bạn nhìn này, lắp cabo nhìn còn đẹp nha các bạn nhé. Keo chỉ nguyên zin, đến check thoải mái. Đây, rằng ốc đinh tán, cột kèo nguyên zin. Con này va quẹt nhiều nhưng mà chỉ sức sơn với hỏng bóng đèn thôi các bác ạ. Còn đâu là máy móc này, các bạn nhìn xem, zin từ những cái ốc khá là đẹp. Nói chung là máy móc thì không phải bàn. Đây, cốp này, cốp bản hatchback, nói chung là xe hatchback thì nó chỉ cốp nó chỉ rộng bé này thôi nhưng mà vẫn nguyên zin các bạn. Ai mà kiểm tra mà thấy mà không zin thì trả lại gấp đôi. Nhưng chỉ bị sức sơn thôi, ở phần đầu nhiều ấy, va quẹt thôi chứ không vấn đề gì. Tổng thể chiếc xe chung còn khá là ok. Và bên em giá bán với giá là 65 triệu 65 triệu cho một chiếc Kia Morning số sàn sản xuất 2007, nhập khẩu nguyên chiếc. Chiếc xe này bị va chạm phần đầu khá là nhiều rồi, nó sức sơn nhiều rồi.